Guys, welcome to the Caring for Creatures show. It's Jerry Miller. It's good to be with you on a very pretty Thursday across Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Good program lined up for you. We are going to talk with Mary Birkholz, who of course is the president and founder of Caring for Creatures. We are also very excited to have Ashleigh Morris in the house. Mallory Luttrell is in the house as well. And Max, our furry friend, who may or may not know, but he's going to become a better animal today.
He is.
Thanks to the training that is on the horizon here on the Caring for Creatures show. Harris, why don't we welcome our star of the program, Mary Birkholz, and the two-shot. You don't like the star moniker?
Yeah, no, it just doesn't, it's not typical for me. So.
Is it the attention?
Yeah.
You don't like the attention?
No. It's all about the animals.
It's all about the
It's not about
animals.
me. It's about the animals.
So Caring for Creatures, guys, is Central Virginia's first no-kill animal sanctuary, literally the first one. For more than 30 years, Mary Birkholz has been rescuing the lives and her team of animals that are on kill lists across the East Coast and welcoming them to a sanctuary in Fluvanna County that is giving them a second shot at life. It's a wonderful story. We encourage you to visit caringforcreatures.org to learn more. The show is yours,
Okay,
Mary.
well,
What do you got?
I have a few announcements before we get to the much more fun stuff. But we sent out a huge amount of applause to our sponsors, Happy Tails, Charlottesville Veterinary Hospital, and Pet Supplies Plus. I am going to make a quick announcement. Charlottesville Veterinary Hospital alerted us just recently that they are sponsoring and holding a summer food drive.
Cool.
At the hospital in Charlottesville here, and it will benefit both Caring for Creatures and the Fluvanna SPCA. So we urge you, we invite you to bring dry food, canned food, what have you, to the Charlottesville Veterinary Hospital. If you don't know where they are, let us know, but they're Rio East, right near the Verizon place off of Rio Road. So please help us out with that. Our matching gift is just new, a week old now, $10,000 matching gift challenge. Between now and June 20th, send any amount of a donation, and our match donor will match that up to $10,000. So
Cool.
We need that so badly. So please, please, the package of information for those on our mailing list is probably going to be going out the next day or so. So you'll have those. But you can go to our website, caringforcreatures.org, and make a donation there. Then for the fun little photographs, I think we have those, Harris. We're just going to show you a couple of happy homes. Valerie and Lillian, we mentioned, were adopted. We did get a happy homes photograph from their adopter. And
We're showing it.
You got that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Lainey, we also have an adoption photo from her, and we have a before and after, which we think is striking, because Lainey pretty much came from a high-kill facility with virtually no hair, and she just made a wonderful transition with a lot of care, a lot of medical assistance, but she's wonderful, and they adore her in her new home.
I love it. Looks like a young family. I love what's happening here with the cats. We often highlight the dogs.
Yeah,
the cats get attention on Caring for Creatures as well.
Absolutely. We have a lot of them too.
You've had a busy week.
A crazy week.
Yeah?
It's been kind of crazy.
How's the summer impact Caring for Creatures?
The summer brings its own challenges, mostly because in some instances, life slows down just a bit, which you might think. People are out on vacation. So often we will see a bit of a slowdown in adoptions. Spring is usually very busy with adoptions. Summer maybe not quite as busy. If it's a hot summer, where the staff is busy keeping everyone cool, calm, and collected. Swimming pools come out, fans come out. Those that can go into buildings with air conditioning. We may even call upon our specialty fosters who extreme sleepover foster homes, where when the weather is extreme hot or cold, while there's a heat wave, folks will take them into their home. for a period of days until the weather breaks. So the dogs love it.
I love it.
The dogs
I love
love
it.
it.
I would love it too.
Yeah.
A little respite, if you may.
Exactly.
Sizzle reel that the notebook right there, and I think we should go to the studio cam, and we're going to welcome, and perhaps you do the honors.
Yes. Ashleigh Morris is our wonderful volunteer trainer over at Caring for Creatures. She guides us, and you all have met her probably on many other occasions here. Today is a little bit of a new thing. We've brought one of our lovely canines, Max, and you'll hear more about him in a couple of minutes. But Ashleigh is going to just do some basics with him. You've heard her talk about some of these training activities, or whatever you call that, positions, I don't know. Anyway, but then we're going to work, she's going to work them with Max, and then we'll talk a little bit about how do you work with dogs with fears.
Okay.
It's a little bit different. And what are the things you have to adjust when in your own approach to a dog that's working with a lot of fears?
So how do we characterize, Ashleigh, Max's mindset, Max's personality, if you may?
I wouldn't say that he is full-on fearful, but he's definitely hesitant. He's a little bit more reticent. He's not, the happy-go-lucky, I'm going to rush up to you wagging my tail. He's a little bit more holding back, waiting to see what's going on. But he does warm up after you let him see that you're okay, you mean him no harm, and few treats don't hurt. He comes out of his shell, and he will start to do some things for you and start to trust you.
Challenges of training a dog that is maybe standoffish versus a dog that is happy-go-lucky.
Standoffish, you definitely have to start to really earn that trust. With the happy-go-lucky, they usually, if they're not overly excitable, that's a whole different bag of worms, but you have to get them to be able to trust you enough to respond to you. And some dogs are so fearful that they just shut down and they don't do anything, and you really have to wait until they kind of come out of their shell. You have to work with them and gain their trust. Sometimes you don't even start working on any commands right away. You just interact with the dog in a positive way to let them know that you're somebody who can be trusted.
Good answer right there. Caitlin Mancini and Ron Gantz, welcome to the program. Give the show a like and a share on any stream that you're watching. Rose Lemaster, hello. Thank you for joining us on the I Love Seville show. Chris Turner in Crozet, Tim Ryan in Richmond. Rick Henderson is watching in the city of Charlottesville. Grace Masia in Richmond is watching right now. Rob Lawson is watching, so is Bill Granford. Thank you, guys. How about the most challenging personality of dog to train, you think?
Honestly, I couldn't say one particular. The extreme of any. Mallory and I were just talking a few minutes ago about my next trip out to Caring for Creatures is going to involve a new dog that they have who is extremely happy-go-lucky, but it's over the top. And they're having a hard time getting her to be able to calm down enough to be able to focus and learn. But then at the same time, same thing with fear. If you have a dog who is so afraid, they're not able to learn anything because they're so nervous, so that you have to work with them. So I don't think one is any more difficult than the other. They each present their own challenges, and you just have to, again, kind of step back, take in what the dog is telling you so that you can change your approach to how you make them either be able to calm down and focus or be able to learn to trust and come out a little bit.
I have one more question, and then I'm curious of your perspective. Often tie it back to what I know, which is my dogs. You guys have much more robust perspective than I do. 2 German Shepherds. One of them is the most alpha of alpha, and one of them is 6 months younger than his alpha brother and has followed his brother's lead the entire time he's pretty much been on the planet. So he's less confident because he hasn't had to develop that skill set because he would follow his brother's lead. His brother, he was challenging to train because he was like proud alpha. And I really had to spend so much time with him in classes and then practicing at home. The brother, the younger one, not as alpha, much easier to train. And I even leveraged the older brother where I would keep the younger brother in a crate and use the older brother to work him through exercises as like a way to train him. So he was watching what was happening. Just throwing that out to you of the challenges of that super alpha versus kind of like the one that has a brother ahead of him that can learn from his older brother. It seems like that's a pretty good mechanism to do. Is that right?
It's a pretty common thing. I see a lot of times the new dogs on the block end up often, not always, but a lot of times they do end up watching the dogs that are already established within the household, and they learn a great deal by watching their older counterparts who have kind of been there and done that. And I've said for a long time, it is much, much easier for me, at least, to work with a dog who is, a lot of people think that training just has to do with intelligence. That's part of it. But I would rather work with a dog who's a little less intelligent, who is more eager to please me. The dogs who are more alpha, even if they're super intelligent, that might be a much more difficult dog to train.
Hard. He's super intelligent and alpha.
And I want to do what I want to do, not so much what you want me to do. So then you have a little bit more difficult row to hoe there, trying to figure out, how do I convince you that you want to do what I want you to do?
You have a question coming in. Can I throw the question to her?
Absolutely.
Caitlin Mancini, who I think is watching in Crozet. She is a huge animal lover. She says, thank you, I'm tuning in, love the show. Question, what is a training strategy or tool to encourage dogs not to mark their territory inside the house? I have a rescue who struggles with this constantly.
So that is a multi-layered answer. Management is key, not allowing the dog to have access to areas where they can go to the bathroom. I think we talked about it on the first show about when you're housebreaking, hawk eyes on the dog at all times. And if you can't have your eyes on them, then they should go to their crate. Definitely crate training is a huge part of housebreaking. If they start to go in the house, then interruption, redirection outside, then praise and reward for going outside. I would definitely recommend getting something like Nature's Miracle or something similar that it has an enzyme that takes the scent out. So a lot of the cleaning products, you can clean it up and we don't smell it anymore, but the dogs can still smell it, and they absolutely go back to where they have marked. So it's definitely kind of a double layered thing where you need to get rid of the smell and then also really work to teach them where they're supposed to go. Lots of praise and rewards. Maybe have a thing of kibble right next to your door. So when you take them outside, grab that piece of kibble as soon as they finish, yes, good potty or pee-pee or whatever you want to say. The words don't matter. You're putting a meaning to it. And then again, really important, not to allow the dog access to go in the house. I hear all the time, well, I was in the room with them. Yeah, but you were checking your email. You didn't see what they were doing. And you have to be able to interrupt. People will argue me down. My dog knew they did wrong. They were cowering. They knew they did wrong. They're reading your body language. They're not making the connection that you have angry body language because they peed in the floor 5 minutes ago. It's, ooh, my person looks angry, and so I'm cowering and I'm nervous. They're not making that connection that you're angry because I peed 5 minutes ago.
Ashleigh is awesome from Kim Smith. Our Finn and our family love her. You're getting some props as well. And Mary, I'm going to throw it to you from, is it Ronnie Lazary? Lozier. Mary and Ashleigh, those are my girls. And also Ashleigh, Ethan wants something more than a participation certificate.
Well, come on back to class. You can earn it.
What are you thinking, Mary Birkholz?
Well, and I was going to ask Ashleigh, which we were just talking about with the housebreaking. Some people I know with a new dog, especially a younger dog or one not used to being inside, have put an extra long leash but tied it around their waist.
Definitely.
So that the dog is connected to them at all times while inside. And so obviously, if a dog is going to mark, hopefully you would be feeling that tug.
Right, exactly.
And it would bring your attention back to it. So that might be an option as well.
Definitely. I've recommended that, and I've had some people use that with success. Other people feel like that's too
confining.
And you have to really, my job is I not only have to know what's going to work for the dog, but I have to apply it to what's going to work for the people too. But I think that's an excellent idea, and honestly, if people will do it, I think that's probably the best, because then you don't get a chance to get distracted by this or that. The dog's right there on you.
James Watson, welcome to the program. Hello, Meg Taylor, John Gilmer, Michael Jameson. Give the show a like and a share. Give it a like and a share anywhere you are watching. We are going to do, and one of the things we have a lot of success with Ashleigh, is she's super talented. We are going to do some live training on air.
Absolutely. We are.
And a little change of the roles. Mary Birkholz is going to be the play-by-play.
My first play-by-play.
Your first play-by-play. Are you ready for this, Mary?
I am. I'm going to give it my all.
So this is what we're going to do. And we have a plan. So Harris, why don't we do this? Harris Tolber's our director. Let us know when you have the video ready to play. And the process of the video playing will transition.
Okay.
He'll come back to me. and then I'll throw it to you.
Okay.
Harris Tolber, are we looking good on that video? All right, so we're going to show you. Why don't, before you play it, set the stage for the video.
Okay, so you're going to obviously be seeing Ashleigh and myself. Mallory, our adoption counselor, who you have seen on other shows, hopefully, is the handler with Max. She was willing to help us out and bring him into town today. Max, again, you're going to watch a little video of him. Mallory will fill you in on some of his stats once we get over there at the end of the video.
Okay, Harris Tolber.
If we can wake him up to work
Oh,
with us,
yeah,
he's sound asleep.
Sound asleep. Are you ready, Ashley? Are you ready, Mallory? Mallory, I'm sorry. Go ahead and cue that video up, and I'll wait for your exit on the video. There of Max. Max is clearly a dog that is able to have fun and enjoy life. He's just absolutely running around chasing after a ball. And now we're going to go to our demonstration stage where Mary Birkholz is going to run play-by-play. Mary Birkholz, the show is yours.
Thank you, Jerry. And we are happy to be here with Mallory and Max. That's Mallory. So I'm going to toss it for a minute to Mallory, and she's going to give you some of Max's stats and a little history.
All right, so this handsome fella, and hopefully you'll be able to see his face soon. There he is. But he was born in July 2015. He actually came up from a high kill shelter in South Carolina in January of this year. Good boy. He found himself at that shelter when his owners were moving out of state, and he and two of his other dog companions were taken to the high kill shelter. The other two dogs, they were picked up by other rescues, but Max was left behind. 2 days before he was going to be euthanized, he was placed on an urgent list, and we spoke up for him, and he arrived at Caring for Creatures very soon after. He is obviously very gorgeous, but more than that, he's just a really gentle, calm guy. Obviously still playful, which you saw from the video, but really he just wants his person that he can lean into and get some belly rubs and just spend time with. Part of the reason that Max might be a slight challenge to place is because he is a little dog selective. We know that he has done well in a home with other dogs, so it is possible that he can live happily in a house with another dog. It just needs to be a right fit for him. And as we talked, the ladies were talking earlier about him, he does have certain fears. This was kind of the first time that we took him out today, and he went on a little car ride and an excursion, and he's doing very, very well. He was taking a nap right before we got on here, so he is well rested for his training with Ashleigh. But yeah, we wanted to get a dog out here who's very adoptable and just a lovely, lovely boy. So that guy's Max.
Perfect. And Ashleigh. So Max is resting now. So let's see if I'll hand it over to you to see if we can put him through some paces.
Sure. Do I take this?
You don't have to.
Okay. So what I want to do today is, he wants to go with Mallory. Hey, Maxie. Max. Hey. Okay. Max.
You know what? We might have Mallory hold the leash because he's afraid that something might go wrong.
Yeah, he's formed
Okay.
a bond and
It's
an
okay.
attachment with Mallory.
You're
I've
okay.
met him only once before. So with Max today, what I want to show is we're going to cover some of the same things that we have covered in prior shows. just because, again, it's a little different with each dog. I want to do a look with him. We've done the look before. Look is good because if he is nervous about something, if I can get him looking at me, then he is now focused on me and not what he's nervous on. I can help him sort of overcome those fears by shifting that focus. I also want to work on a touch command with him. If he is nervous with new people, if I can teach him a touch, then a hand coming in his face, which is not good dog body language. A lot of people do that with good intentions, but you know, the happy-go-lucky dogs are fine with that. But dogs who are a little bit more fearful, oh my gosh, what is that coming in my face? Because dogs do a butt sniff to greet each other, and so it's an around-the-bout greeting, and so that front-on eye contact reaching in their face is kind of like, to dogs that are a little nervous. So teaching them a touch helps them to have kind of a point of reference. Yes, good touch. So the way that I introduce the touch is just super easy peasy. I show my hand, yes, good touch. Then when he touches it with his nose to kind of say, hey, what do you got there? It smells kind of like treats. The moment that nose hits my hand, yes, good touch. And so the key is to get the dog doing that with people that he is comfortable with. And then once he's really, really consistent with it, he knows what it is, he's happy to do it, then start getting him to do it with people that he doesn't know so well. Usually I will have, you try to coach the people along, but I have found in my life that dogs tend to be a little easier to coach along than the people. But try to, you know, have them hold their hand down. Yes, good touch. And his nose comes to the hand rather than the person bringing their hand to his nose. But still, if you practice the touch enough, even if somebody reaches out, yes, good touch, he knows what to do with it. It is no longer quite so scary.
Do you think if a stranger comes over, he's going to be expecting a treat?
Probably not unless the stranger gives them a treat first. Unless, if you work with him extensively with a whole bunch of different people, then he could certainly start to associate, ooh, new people equals food, and then strangers are not so scary. And again, it varies from dog to dog. It really depends on the individual that you're working with. So we talked about the look last time, and I think the time before that, and so not to drive you guys crazy with the same stuff, but when you're working with a new dog, you don't want to start doing a bunch of advanced stuff. You really have to cover those basics first. And look is such a critical one. I mean, truly, that's one of the first ones I always teach people to teach their dogs because it is so multifaceted. You can use it in so many ways. And again, for a dog who's a little nervous, you know, if Max is getting a little bit nervous about something that's going on over here, if I can say, hey, Max, look at me, then that can help to calm him down so he doesn't continue getting more and more nervous.
And I think that's a good one to use for dog reactive dogs. If you're leash walking, and yeah, if you can teach your dog that, then you can distract him, hopefully, from a dog walking past you on the other side.
Actually, quite a bit when I'm doing reactive dog cases. I use a lot of looks and leave it's and find it's. Hey, Max, can we do a look? Come on. Come on. Come on, sit. Can you go from a down into a sit? Come on, buddy. Come on. Let's try. There you go. Good boy. So, review of last time. I show him the treat. I bring it up next to my eye and I wait. Yes, good look. So at first, he's very much concentrating on the treat. The moment I get eye contact, he gets yes. That's the marker to let him know that's the moment he's done what I want. Yes, good look. And so you guys can see it takes some patience. Humans need to kind of remind themselves to stop talking so much and just wait until he does what you want him to do, then give him that feedback. If he gets distracted, just swing that treat back in front of his nose, bring his attention back up to me. Sit. Good sit. Yes, good look. And so, you know, again, just a quick review of what we've covered before. You repeat this. As soon as you start to bring that treat up next to your eye and the dog is immediately making eye contact right away, then I can start to ask for it, then I start to make it more difficult. It's a whole lot different having him sit and look at me in here with not much else going on than out on the street with a whole bunch of stuff going on. So you gradually start to build on it. You know, I've stressed to you guys in each show, it's building blocks. You start really small. I want to set my dog up for success, make it super simple for them to do what I want them to do. Then I start to build on it and make it more difficult.
Is there a point where you feel like you're not getting the dog's attention or he's not understanding what you're doing? What do you do then?
Really, it's just a matter of patience and starting, just waiting for him to come around and do what he's supposed to do. If I find that I'm getting frustrated because he's just showing that he's not going to do it at this time, then I'm going to have him do something simple, give me a sit, and then we go away. We end on something positive. We come back to training later when we're fresh. The other thing that you can do is capturing. So we talked before about luring is when I'm taking the treat to lure the dog to do what I want. You can also use capturing. So if I'm having a hard time getting him to make that eye contact with the training session and the luring, then throughout the day, anytime he naturally looks up to, check in with me, engage with me, I'm going to tell him, what a good look, what a good look. People tend to think it's too good to be true and it's too easy, but it works. And I often good sit. So that was capturing right there. No one asked him for a sit. He did it. He got rewarded for that. Another thing that I like to do is teach dogs that will go for it. I like to teach them a sit and then a down. And down can sometimes be a little difficult for some dogs to get. So one of the things I find when people in class or people in private sessions are doing the luring, often they will take the treat down really quickly and then the dog has lost interest. So I try to keep it right up at his nose and then just very slowly bring it down. And sometimes that doesn't work. Nope. Okay, so here you guys get to see me make a fool of myself. I don't know if you guys can see me on camera if I get on the floor, but that's the other way.
I just need the cord.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. Here you go. And he may not do it because he doesn't know me, and again, he's a little hesitant. Here you go, bud. Hey. Ready? Ready? All right, so we're going to back.
I thought that might work, but wrong.
And he might do it, and I'm not going to throw you under the bus now. He might have done it for Mallory. Because it is a trust thing, going under my legs is definitely a trust thing. And again, I've only met Max once before, so we certainly have not developed a super bond of trust. The idea behind that is if I bring the treat under my legs, often the dog will go right under to get the treat, and then they're in a down. I can mark it, I can reward it, then I can start to build on it. Max is not the first dog that I have met that we have had an issue getting into a down. It happens not all the time, but a little bit frequently. And so again, I say continue trying to do the luring, either of those two methods, and capture. Anytime the dog is naturally laying down, capture that. But what I like to do if a dog is really excited about something, nervous about something, and they know a sit and a down, I will get them engaged with me and we'll do what's called puppy push-ups, and we'll do a sit and a down and a sit and a down, and they do that kind of consecutively to, again, shift their focus to something else, give them something to do so they don't have that open mental space to be able to get all neurotic and freaky and scared about stuff. Max.
What about, I know a lot of people are, in the past I've seen training done with the down where you go and sort of encourage physically to help the dog into a down. What?
I don't do that. I don't poo-poo it. I've known trainers that do that method, and I'm not against it. I just don't do it. I really like the dog to kind of figure it out on their own, do it on their own. Certainly with certain dogs, if you don't know them well and it's a certain temperament, you might get bitten that way. But, that's really not the big reason that I don't do it. Because I can tell usually, if I'm working with a dog, I can tell this is a dog that, may be upset if I do certain stuff. So it's not that I'm not comfortable with most dogs. I just like for them to use their brain to figure it out. And I guess they'd still be using their brains to figure it out, even if you kind of helped them physically. But it's better if you can get them to do it on their own. And in fact, I met a trainer recently who very much let me know that she poo-poos luring, which is fine. We're all different. We all have different methods, and that's what makes the world go round. Nope, not going to do it. Okay, let's do another look. Yes, good look. So again, it's important to end on a positive note. If you're working on something and the dog is just not getting it, do something simple that they know very well, they get rewarded for it, go do something else, come back to training again when you're fresh. You don't want to end frustrated or have the dog be frustrated. And quite honestly, it's good for me, for people to see, even a trainer who works with dogs on a daily basis, a bunch of different dogs, personalities and stuff like that, we don't always get the dogs to do things on the first try. Sometimes it's just a challenge and you just keep working at it and you keep doing all the things that you know to do, and eventually the dog will get it.
At Caring for Creatures, we've used a few times with a few of our dogs that Go Find It. And maybe you could explain what that is. And I don't know if Max will be interested in that or not.
I'm sure he will. So for me, and I'm trying to think, I think you guys use the same Find It. For me, I use this a lot, again, for dogs who tend to be a little bit nervous or dogs that are kind of reactive to other dogs. What I do is I'm pinching this treat up into very small bits, and then I will drop it on the ground and tell Max, find it. And so he's no longer so interested in that siren that was going by. I am now busy eating treats off of the floor. And so again, a lot of people kind of poo-poo this. It's so very simple. It is very simple, but it does a lot of things. It rewards the dog. He gets something good in a situation that could be pretty stressful. Max. Now something positive is happening. Ooh, a siren, but oh wait, food, this is good. So, if he were in a new situation and he's starting to get nervous, I might do some Find It's to give him, again, an alternative to do. He also is getting rewarded for that behavior. The other thing is an added bonus. When you're doing this with a dog, I do this sometimes with dogs when we're doing leash walking and there's reactivity and stuff like that. If I can get the dog to find it, his nose is to the ground, and he is sniffing and he's engaged in something, he is telling other dogs, I mean you no harm. Dog body language, if he's sniffing the ground, he's saying to the other dog, I mean you no harm. So if you're working with a dog who tends to get kind of lungy and barky with other dogs on leash, doing a Find It can really help to bring that energy down. The other thing it does, often if you're on a walk, you encounter another dog who is with their owner, they're walking by anyway, so if your dog is woof, 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 lunging, barking, going crazy, good down, what a good down. Good boy, good down. So the dog was going by anyway, but your dog can start to think my lunging and barking and going crazy made that other dog go away. So if you can get them to stop and either look at you or do some Find It's and the other dog is going away, your dog will learn over time, oh, I don't have to do that. They were going to go by anyway. And just like with everything, guys, it starts out heavy on the treats at first. If your dog is food motivated, not all are, but a lot are, heavy on that food at first, and then you start to phase the food back. As you start to build your relationship with your dog, then the food gets less and less. Your praise becomes more and more, and then other things like tennis balls or squeaky toys or whatever the case may be, whatever it is that your own individual dog likes very much.
You know what I used it for in my house with one of my dogs was when I was vacuuming. And he really wanted to attack the vacuum, so I had a pocket full of little treats and go find it, go find it. So now he's fine with the vacuum.
Nice. Excellent desensitization, Mary. Awesome job. So let's see if we can get him back into a down, because that's part of the puppy push-ups, is once you get the dog effectively learning a down, which we've captured a few times since Max decided he wanted to lay down anyway, the puppy push-ups are going from a sit into a down and then back into a sit and repeating that. So trying to get him, Maxie. Hey, buddy. He's got his little feet curled under, I don't know.
Could be down for the count.
Maybe. Come on up, sit. Max. Come on. Oh, the belly rub. You got to reward that. Good boy. Good boy.
Well, he said I can almost roll over.
So maybe now you'll do a sit. Come on, Max, sit. Max. Sit. Yes, good sit. Excellent job. Excellent job. And so, Again, you can see where patience comes in. You have to take your time. You have to really get to know the dog, figure out what it is. Yes, good down. Good down. And hang in there. You know, a lot of people quit too soon. Well, this isn't working, so I'm just going to bag it. No, like I said earlier, you don't want to end up with an exercise in frustration. I don't want to get really annoyed and angry that you're not doing what I want you to do, so just end on something simple at that time. Come back to it later, keep plugging away. And often, between sessions, the light bulb will go off and, oh, I see what you're asking me for, and they will start to give it to you, particularly if you're doing that capturing in between your sessions. Most of the time when I'm doing my shorter sessions throughout the day, I'm doing mostly luring. I'll do some capturing if they present it, but then through the rest of the day, I'm trying to be very mindful to see what my dogs are giving me that I can just capture and put a name to that so that they will start to pick up on that as well.
Makes sense.
Excellent.
So would we think at this point, I don't know exactly how long we've been doing this, but based on his decision to lie down, I think he's done, don't you? Yeah.
He gets one more treat. Good job and good down. Good boy. And I'll give this to you to give to him while you guys are hanging out.
Thank you, Mallory. Thank you, Max. And we'll meet Jerry back at the other set.
All right. That was a fantastic demonstration. The light, Judas, what you're turning. So this demonstration is going to be archived on caringforcreatures.org, caringforcreatures.org. What we're trying to do is we're going to create approachable, what we call sizzle reels, and you go to the studio cam there, Harris, and these sizzle reels are an instructional tool for you to help with your dog. We have a couple of questions that have come in, some props for you, Ashleigh. We'll get to the props from Stacy Frank III. Ashleigh Morris is absolutely fabulous. Give the show a like and a share. Harvey Mayorga says, we have 3 dogs as a family and 2 young children. We need some advice. Do you recommend training one dog at a time or try to train them all at the same time? That's a tough question. Well, you got 2 kids, too.
Yeah, well.
And 3 dogs.
Yeah, I've never been the kid route, but the dog route. I had 3. I've always had a pack of more than 1 dog, and so the answer is actually all of the above. You want to train them together separately at first. You want to do those individual one-on-one sessions. Whenever I'm working with a dog, we start out one-on-one distraction-free. Otherwise, the dogs are going to be too distracted to do what I want. I am going to be too distracted to get the proper timing. So you want it to be one-on-one distraction-free with each dog. And honestly, it depends on how old the kids are. If they're old enough, let's have the kids working with the dogs too. If they're a certain age, they obviously need parental supervision while they're doing the training sessions. And if they're too young, then having them maybe mom or dad are standing behind. But training in and of itself establishes leadership, so it's good to have the kids involved in some way so that the dog sees them more as a leader than as a litter mate, which often happens. And so then once the dogs really start to get it, they start to be really consistent with the behaviors that you're asking of them, then you start putting it all together. I can't always take you in a separate room to get you to do what I want you to do. We're all 3 in here together, so I need to be able to say sit and have you all sit. Another big challenge I see, and something that I learned early on with having multiple dogs, is sometimes I need you to sit and stay, and I need you to come here. And so when you're working one-on-one distraction-free, you can probably go pretty far with those things. Then when you start bringing them together, my advice is start small. Even if your dog is able to do something from a great distance or a long stay or something like that, when you bring in one of their brothers or sisters, you need to make it a little bit smaller than what they're able to do on their own, again, in the vein of setting them up for success.
Good answer. We got some props coming in. Let's get to Robert Prescott. Thank you for joining us on the show. Thank you for liking the program. Von Myers says hello, Mallory. Kayla Horse says hello, Mallory. So does Jenna Van Fossen and Jennifer Shives Bollinger. They say hello. Robert Prescott, hello as well. This comes in for you, Mary. This is from Krista Colleen Petzold.
Krista, yeah.
Hi, Krista. She says, hi, Mary. I absolutely love this show. Max is super cute and super smart. I hope he finds his forever home very soon.
We hope so. We hope someone watching says, oh my God, that's the dog for me.
If you want to help Max find his forever home, give the show a like and a share. Welcome Billy Koenig from Vivi's Cakes and Candy. Thank you for watching the program. Dot the I's and cross the T's. What do you think we learned here from Max and from Ashleigh's training?
I feel as though I want people to understand it's much easier than what they think. Mm-hmm. as Ashleigh has said 100 probably times since she started coming on the show, it's being aware, watching your dog, learning who your dog is, watching his or her cues, and taking it one small step at a time. Mm-hmm. I think that's critical. The fact that anyone begins, don't try to do off-leash recalls, the second week you're into training, because it's not fair for you or your dog. Just build up to it, and you'll find your relationship with your dog improves also.
What do you think, Ashleigh?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I think it is something where you find yourself adjusting. Sometimes I have to mentally step back and take everything in before I can speak to a client about something, because I find myself just naturally doing stuff and I don't think about it. So I have to kind of take a step back and say, oh, this is what I'm doing, so that I can impart it to the client so that they can do the same thing with their dog. You find yourself doing things like adjusting your tone of voice. With some dogs, I want to have a real happy, excited voice to get them motivated to do something. And then with a dog who's a little bit more nervous, my voice is a little bit more mellow and easygoing. Or if I'm working with teaching a dog not to jump on people at the door, I'm going to have that mellow, easygoing voice. Because if I'm saying, yay, what a good dog, then I'm getting the dog all excited and getting them wanting to jump again. So you have to kind of adjust yourself to each dog, adjusting your body language. I still, after all these years of working with all sorts of different dogs, I still catch myself sometimes, especially working with small dogs, leaning over and getting to their level. I need to have leadership posture, shoulders back, head up, and let the dog know that I am an effective leader.
Okay. I think we have 3 really good sizzle reels. One of the sizzle reels should undoubtedly be the training seminar on the training set, all the way through Ashleigh's answer there, Harris Tolbert, because I thought that was a great close to it. I think a second sizzle reel could be right before we got to the training set, including the video of Max, where Ashleigh was talking about the varying temperaments of animals and training them. Robert Prescott, the drummer of Disco Risque, says, all love from Disco Risque boys. Mm-hmm. Thank you for all you do with the animal rescue, caring for creatures.
Thank you. We're grateful.
So he's giving you some props. Thank you, Robert Prescott, for that. John Wyatt's watching in Keswick right now. Thank you, John, for watching. I really like where this is going.
I love it, because what we see at Caring for Creatures are dogs coming in who didn't have that opportunity of being taught. And once we're able to do that, and you see the dog just evolve before your very eyes, get into that wonderful home, it's like, yeah, this is the big thing. It's the secret. You need to do it.
I see a lot of potential potentially with bringing an animal each time. I know that's challenging for your team.
Yeah. Well, and I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
And
it has me out of my comfort zone, but I'm willing to do it.
Yeah. And you did perfect.
Oh, you did so well. I really respected your patience when Max was not responding. I mean, I would be so quick to get frustrated. And then once you get frustrated, the dogs can sense the frustration, and then it's going to snowball.
Right, exactly.
You did not.
Well, you learn not to, because it doesn't do any good. And honestly, I found myself, I'm much more patient with dogs than humans anyway. But it doesn't do any good, and you have to kind of wait them out and see what they're going to give to you, because sometimes it varies with different dogs. But sometimes if you take that treat down and hold it to the floor on the down, often if they're still interested, if you just hold it there and don't do anything, they will collapse into a down, and then good down. So waiting and kind of seeing what they're going to give you, there's a lot of benefit to that.
This was undoubtedly, and I'm not just saying this, I think you may agree. Actually, this is going to put you in a tough spot here. This is, I think, one of the most dynamic shows, from like the tutorial aspect, moving to a different set, having an animal in the mix.
It was
you doing
a challenge.
Play-by-play,
I was a little off on the microphone now and then, but I'll catch on.
A lot of moving parts today.
And
we
did well.
It did well.
Yes. I'm grateful.
Really well.
Yeah, it was good.
The content will be archived on caringforcreatures.org. Caringforcreatures.org is the website. We will feature the content on Caring for Creatures Facebook page. We encourage you to get involved with Caring for Creatures from a volunteering standpoint, from a fundraising or financial standpoint, from just going out to the sanctuary in Fluvanna County, and you will see Central Virginia's first no-kill animal sanctuary. Executive Director, President, Founder, wearer of many hats.
Saint.
That is true.
Mary Birkholz started this charity and nonprofit more than 30 years ago. And I'm going to say this. She's a little more humble. She needs $1,000 a day to keep this going in the right direction.
That I do, yes.
$1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Please get involved with caring for creatures in some capacity, whether it's financially, from a volunteer standpoint, whether it's just spreading the love on social media.
Yep.
Adopting. Adopting. The animals are
An
featured.
animal that's adopted creates a space for someone else. Yeah.
And you never say no.
I have to sometimes. You know
Yeah.
what? We got a new one in just as I was leaving, right, Mallory? A hound that was running kind of wild in the county, and these people were feeding her, and they couldn't keep her. The landlord wouldn't allow that, so they had to trap her. But they noticed that all the food they were giving her was not going just for her. So we think she's pregnant. So we suggested try getting her in as soon as you can. And they were able to trap her today. So she's now joined, and
You get a lot of hounds.
Yeah.
it's in the area.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of
Hounds
hounds
and
in the
pits.
area.
It's in the
But you
area.
know what? They're great dogs. Personality, temperament-wise, they're great dogs.
Yeah.
Watch the show, guys, on caringforcreatures.org. You rock. Giving you
Thank
props.
you, sir. Appreciate
You
it.
rock. Thursdays, 3 p.m. Put it on your phone. We spotlight all the phenomenal stories and all the people and the animals that are tied to caring for creatures right here on Mary Birkholz's program. We're showing your sanctuary. I mean, it's amazing. Get involved, guys. Thank you kindly for joining us. Enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you.